We are live. Welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes Podcast, Week 14 edition. I'm your host, Chris Kirkwood, screen name Kirk D's, here with my two boys, as usual, at Bobby Gomes DFS, Bobby Gomes, the Fantasy Bros, at Johnny AirPods, at JSU Rab. Sorry, a little early this morning. My coffee hasn't kicked in yet, but Johnny AirPods, as we like to call him here on the show. But we're back here for Week 14. After a pretty good show for Week 13, I think we gave some good advice on that show. I think we were talking pre-show. We did pretty well, but could have been better. But anyways, we're on to Week 14. What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Doing good. If my coffee hits early, I'll probably be off the set. I will say that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Pulling a blender. I've seen Blender on an RG shows. Put the thing on pause and he had to go take a dump.
Yeah, probably pulling.
He just left the screen there. It was like, I got
Bobby, we don't have that time, so we're not pausing for you. We're just gonna keep going, and then when we get back, just jump right back in. Just
Look
jump
at the color
on
of
back
this
in.
thing. It's not good stuff. I think there was milk in here. It's getting me.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I'm in a little bit of a pickle here.
All right. Well, let's talk about this slate. This is Week 14, 10 games. A little nice to have a little less games. But the thing about this slate this week, so I'll just list off the teams we don't have. So we got no Bears, no Colts. Who cares? We got no Washington. Who cares? We've got no Atlanta, no Green Bay. Who cares? We got no New Orleans. Who cares? No Miami, LA Chargers. Oh, those are some good teams we're missing. And we got no New England, Arizona. I care about Arizona, but most people don't care. And then obviously the Rams Raiders just played, and Baker made a winning drive in that last game. What a craziness, right? To just come in like that and actually look like a competent quarterback for a drive.
That game and the Saints game, I mean, are those two of the more crazier finishes you've seen in your life or in a while? That Tampa game was insane. Just absolutely insane how Tampa
Look
won
at
that
JSU
game.
back on the Brady train.
Oh, I'm not on the Brady train. He should have lost. He should have taken
drive
the
back
L.
on the Brady train.
Saints, Mark Ingram needed one more inch to friggin' get that first down. Just Brady runs so pure. It's amazing. I like Brady. I'm a fan of Tom Brady.
Oh, now you're
not
a fan.
For DFS this year. Not for DFS this year. I make it clear, not for DFS. But my God, has he won some tight games and tight spots this year.
Don't let Big T hear you say you like Brady. Don't let him hear you say you like Brady.
Oh,
forgot to talk about last week. I'm going to pat myself on the back because, as I said on the show,
Bobby, let me know when Brady's on a winner. Will you let me know it's Week 14?
I tweeted out Brady is dust, and then
was he in the showdown winner?
A drive later, he made the comeback happen, and it was just
he wasn't in the captain.
He was like, oh, that age.
Was he in the captain? He wasn't in the captain, was he?
No,
that couldn't have been.
He looked awful for the majority of that game. For what it's worth.
Who was the captain winner though? Was it White? Who was that? Who was the guy?
Yeah, I think it was. I think because he got the last touchdown there. It was either him or Fournette, Fournette was before.
Snyder. No, it wasn't Fournette. I don't think it was Fournette in the end.
I think it was up until the drive.
Was it? Maybe.
My guy Snyder. We were talking before the show, and he was like, "Oh, you got to fade Fournette." And I was about to do it, and thank God I didn't do it. He plays less lineups. So he's trying to take stands, but it was Kamara that needed the fade. That was the running back that you didn't.
He had no usage. It was crazy.
It was wild. He did nothing. I didn't even like him either.
He wasn't on the field. He wasn't even on the field though. He wasn't even in for third down. It was crazy. They Mark Ingram, the corpse of Mark.
What they're doing.
What drives me insane though is in key spots they're running Mark Ingram up the gut for a yard. It just made no sense, at all. Why Kamara wasn't it? He had to be not healthy, right? It had to be
he has to be hurt,
right? Has to be.
Can I pat myself on the back here? I want to talk about Yahoo.
Oh, God. We're going to talk about friggin' Terry McLaurin.
No. I just wanted to say that I had Lamar. I smashed when I thought I was dead, and I had Lamar, and I was completely dead. So it just felt nice to do that because I finally had the right defense with Cleveland. I faded Pierce again, like I say at every show. I just can't believe people still play this guy. He's the projection guy every single week.
He'll get you your 8, Kirk. He'll get you your 8. Nice 8 burger each week. You know,
8 ball,
6, 7.
an 8 ball.
Yeah. Your guy David Montgomery doubled them up. How's that? How's that
yeah,
for
so
you?
that was my switch. My switch was Montgomery and Scary Terry versus Garrett Wilson and Pierce. I was like, wanted Montgomery over him. And then I was like, Scary Terry is the exact same play as Garrett Wilson, if not better. And it worked. Anyways, that's all I want to say. But here, this slate, what is it? How's the slate like? It's kind of a tough slate, right? Like we have one game with a over 50 point total. It's Minnesota at Detroit. Detroit's actually been playing a little bit better defense as of late. Interesting is we're at the point now where Detroit is favored against a team with a great record, but I think that just shows that everyone kind of thinks Minnesota is frauds. So Detroit is -2 with 51.5 point total. Then we have just a couple of games. You know, we have one at 46.5 is the next highest. That's Cleveland at Cincy. Burrow's going to get some love here in that game. It's interesting because he's like the highest owned quarterback projected, but also Mixon's the highest owned running back projected from this game too. And then we've got like Philly -7.5 at the Giants, and then we've got just a bunch of really low total games. So I think it's going to be a low scoring week, and we're going to have to figure out the best way to approach that. But how's it looking to you, JSU?
Yeah, so you talked about it. You got one, I would assume mainly like one clear game where everyone's just going to go, right? Minnesota, Detroit, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, those guys are going to hold some good ownership at quarterback just because it's the game that everyone's going to want to target. And honestly, when they're popular at quarterback is weeks where I'm just like, yeah, I'll take the hit. If I lose to Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff, I'll just move on to the next slate because I like other guys. I think it's a spot where you're definitely going to see points. So it's not like I want to fade the game, but I think there are ways to go about it where you can get pieces and still not play those guys and play other spots at quarterback that are going to be much lower owned because lower totals. But there are a few games that I've kind of dug up that even though the totals aren't great, I kind of like them. And I kind of think that there's going to be some over spots for some of these lower total games that we'll get into. But you're going to have to pick one or two of these lower total games to go in on because there's only like one or two high totals on this entire slate. Like, what's the other highest total? Is it Cleveland?
46. It's 46.5. So it's a 5 point lower, which is massive.
Yeah, I mean, so and that's the other game, Kirkwood. You just talked about Joe Burrow's probably the other. He's probably the third quarterback that's going to get the highest amount of ownership with Goff and Cousins. I don't know how it shakes out in order, but those are probably your three chalk guys at quarterback, and the Joe Mixon's going to be popular. Cincinnati receivers will probably get a little love too. I just think in all, you're going to have to find a game that is off the board on this slate because the ownership is going to be crazy on those two games specifically, I think.
How's it looking to you, Bobby?
It's looking like shit. We're staying on the theme of shit, but yeah, it doesn't look great. I understand like the totals. We only have one game that's like around 50 point total. Quarterback options that are popping in projections are not usually quarterbacks that I want to play. There is my guy Tyler Huntley is on this slate, who I'm very fond of though. So he's one of these low owner options I think I can probably go to. I like Joe Burrow. There's some quarterbacks I think I can make good of, and then some stacks that I have interest in. But yeah, Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff at the top. That game in general, it seems like it's a game that I just want pieces from.
So why are you so fond of Huntley?
So last year at the World Championship, Lamar Jackson was in flux, his status, and I decided with my $60K ticket that I was going to take the gamble and play Huntley. And if I had just played Andrews, I'd be a world champion, DraftKings world champion. But I played Bateman, and I had the nuts in my phone.
It went from a flex story to a sob story. I mean,
It's
it
not
was
a
a
sob
flex
story.
story.
Still, was it a top?
I still
I'm
like 40K. No, it was a good. It was. I like Tyler Huntley. He's a good guy. I'm a fan. I think he's a good quarterback. Very decisive decision maker. I like some Tyler Huntley. So
well, I don't want to rain on your parade, but have you guys seen the total in this game?
Yeah, it's not good.
It's down to 30,
really
36
low.
and a half.
oh, never mind.
I don't think I can't remember seeing a total that low.
Yeah, we're not playing that.
It's tough though, because I mean Denver, he got pushed into that Denver game, and the one thing with Denver is we make fun of their offense, but their defense still plays, and they play hard. They played hard for most of that season, and now they get Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, and their defense. I know T.J. Watt I think is technically questionable, but I'm assuming he plays, and their defenses look much better with T.J. Watt back. So it's kind of two tough spots to get thrust into.
We're off the second divisional game of Huntley and the Steelers in Baltimore. I've definitely made that decision right now.
Well, if you don't like that 36.5 point total, let me interest you in a Tom Brady 37.5 point total.
Bob,
yeah, I don't know how I can get away.
You're pot committed, dude. You're pot committed at this point.
There, buddy.
17-point implied team total.
This is the spot where nobody's going to be there.
Bob, I can interest you in a Tom Brady with a Rashad White, a little.
They ask you a big closet Brady
running back stack.
Plenty of run back options.
Who do they play? San Fran. Oh wow.
Yeah, you got your boy CMC. I know you're fond of him, so
I like him.
Yeah, that's an easy run back.
And Lenny's questionable, I think. So,
although like this Bucs defense is going to be like great against the run now again because they got Vita Vea and Akeem Hicks. But I mean, those guys are just you can't. For years we have been since we started doing the show JSU way back in the beginning. It's always been Vita Vea. Like the guy, you can't run on that guy. He's just too big. You cannot get
the Eagles Jordan Davis too. So that's another thing. When I saw that kid was active, I got way lower on Derrick Henry, which saved me in tournaments because I was super high on him, and he had been out for a while for the Eagles, and then they've been terrible stopping the run, and he came back and he's definitely a big part of it too. So you can put him up there as just a guy who just run stopper, beast. But Vita VA is definitely like number one on the charts. Got to be for sure.
He's just a unit, you know. All right, let's as we usually do, we start off at running back and kick it over to QBs to align with our wide receivers. Then we talk a little bit about tight end, and we get to the Bobby Gomes defensive segment, which he smashed. All credit. Should be given where credit is due. Called the Cleveland Browns, which was the key to every if you had Cleveland, you cashed. It was as simple as that last week. And I love it. Whenever you see a play like that, you get all the people bitching and whining on Twitter. Let's cancel defense. You know, defense.
Yeah.
Time. It's been 10 years of defense. Can we get it ruled? Can we get a change? You know, it's like. Shut up. Like, you know what I mean?
I hope they never change. I remember that was like in talks. Like they wanted to get rid of defense.
Yeah, we lost kickers. Remember kickers on FanDuel?
What would they do? Would they make it like a super flex?
Just another flat. Another flex.
Would be awful, dude.
Would they do an individual defensive player ever? Like, no, that's too much.
That's too
much for the casual.
The super flex would be absolutely terrible. I don't know. It'd be.
Didn't FanDuel try that? Like at one point, didn't FanDuel try it for a little bit?
Let me just say this. There's nothing better when you're sitting on that 40-point defense and then you go on Twitter and everybody's bitching and whining. Like that's like a good day. You know what I mean?
It is a great feeling when you got the 30 point defense that you're just sitting there like laughing because they're 5% owned and no one played them, and you
throw out a little tweet like, "Imagine people didn't play the Browns, couldn't be me," you know. All right, so let's start it off at the running back position. Some interesting plays here, right? So, as I said earlier, Mixon looks like he's going to be the highest owned play, but that's interesting. So, first of all, the matchup is great, right? The interesting part with that is, Cleveland is 31st DVOA versus the run, but, Samaje Perine just has looked absolutely like really, really good these last couple of weeks. And now Mixon's back from the concussion. Did Perine earn some more, or does he slot right back into his old role, which wasn't very much, or did he earn some extra touches here? So that's an interesting thing. Also, Burrow's getting touted pretty heavily. I think he's going to pick up steam and be the highest owned quarterback on the slate. So right there, that it's they're probably not both going to smash together, although it is possible, but probably not. So that's an interesting spot. Derrick Henry, who JSU was just talking about, is an interesting spot against Jacksonville. He's got some pretty darn good history against the Jags. If we look back, through the years, he's got some massive games against them. I don't know how relevant that is, if that matters. Jacksonville is 13th in DVOA versus the run, and Derrick Henry's been bad since week. Well, he had a rough week 10. He had a good game against Green Bay and a great matchup. Then he struggled in this same matchup struggled against Cincy. Struggled mightily last week against Philly, which JSU was just talking about. But the thing that's interesting more so, I thought, didn't he play Cincy this year? I thought they played. I mean, didn't he play Jacksonville already?
Let me see.
No.
He
All right.
hasn't?
Sorry. So no, there's something in my head. It's a little early here.
No, he hasn't. He plays
Yeah.
them twice in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's going to pick up steam because there's really just not a lot of like amazing spots. Well, we can get into these next plays. It is an amazing spot, right? Like the Cowboys are playing Houston, who's 20th in DVOA versus the run. They're 17.5 point totals favorites. We've got Tony Pollard and Zeke. Pollard's electric. Zeke has looked okay to me for what he is. And he's been fine. Week 6, 7, 11, 12, 13. He's all been around like between 15 to 18 fantasy points at 6,100. That's not bad. Tony Pollard, 6,700, is obviously the electric guy. The matchup's great. So I'll be interested to hear your guys' takes on how we handle that. My boy, DeAndre Swift. Told you it was coming, right? 50% of the snaps last week. Still room for more, but like they finally gave him some work. Hit Pater was a good play. Now he's going to be chalky, right? Like that's all it took was this 1 week. So I kept saying I wanted to be ahead of the curve on that, ahead of the curve. So he had a nice game against 21 against Jacksonville, but he's in the mix in that big high total game. And then the other side of that is in the mix with Dalvin Cook, right? Better matchup against Detroit, who's 25th in DVOA versus the run. It was disappointing when Madison took a touchdown away from him last, vultured a touchdown versus Dalvin. Dalvin was on his way to a big day, but still, solid day, 16 fantasy points, but there was room for more, 20 rushing attempts. Tougher matchup last week was against the Jets, but so this is a good spot. So those are kind of like the chalky guys, I think, but what are your thoughts on them? And then who are some other guys you're looking at, Bobby?
Yeah, great call on Swift last week. I actually ended up getting him in my pool because you kind of got me there. So I like the Swift call at 5,800. Mixon at 6,900. I think you may bring up some good points. Like, is Perine going to work in? I think there's a possibility that could be the case based on how efficient Perine was with his touches over the last 2 weeks. Kenneth Walker, I think, is another running back that I like Seattle a lot this week. So I think I'll have some Kenneth Walker. Henry, 7,900. This is the time of the year we're playing Henry. Like, I'm definitely going to have Derrick Henry in my pool. Just a really good matchup versus Jacksonville. He's had good history, like you said, versus that team. So I don't mind getting to him. I'm seeing like Lat Murray is someone who people are going to play. I am not playing Lat Murray. I'm absolutely positive I will not be playing him. I do like Deontay Foreman at 5,400, who's 200 more than Lat Murray. I think I definitely could play him versus Seattle Rundy and then run it back with some Geno stacks. Travis Etienne, 6,400, busted for everyone last week. I don't mind getting to him. And yeah, that's pretty much my running back pool for now. James Cook's down at 4,600. I would imagine James Cook's going to be somewhat popular after the Island game and just how he played that night. I don't know. The Jets defense is run D's pretty good. 4,600 is cheap though. I'd much rather play like a Cook over a Lat Murray.
Johnny AirPods.
Yeah, so at the top, I think a lot of people are talking about P. Ryan and does he work in? I've heard this a lot. How about P. Ryan's kind of in ways like a veteran? How about he's had 20 touches the last 2 weeks? He's had to play more with Joe Mixon out. How about he needs a rest? Maybe he might need a little rest here with Joe Mixon coming back fully healthy. It seemed too like Joe Mixon had a chance to actually play last week, and they just kind of decided to hold him out. So he's fully back to practice. Also, they paid this guy. It's not like P. Ryan's, coming in and going to just take over or anything like that. They paid Mixon. Mixon's still there. I think he's the best play on the board at the price and stuff like that. Has the best matchup. So I'm definitely going to play some Mixon. I think in the end, he's going to come in at like 20%, and then it's going to be a situation where he smashes, and then everyone's like, how is he just 20%? Like he was the best play on the board at the price. So that's the way I look at Mixon. I just think it's a really good play. And I'm not really a big fan of Mixon, but I just think the spot is tough not to, especially if I'm not playing Burrow. I think Cincinnati puts points up, so I still want pieces of their offense. So I'm going to be on Mixon. And the same goes with Dalvin Cook. I'm definitely going to be playing some running backs that I haven't really been on all year. And Dalvin Cook's one of them. I really haven't played him much this year. I think I played him once. It was against Buffalo. Yeah, the one time I played him was against Buffalo. I loved him that week. I'm going to go back to him here again just because I'm not playing Kirk Cousins. And this is how you get some extra leverage on that quarterback, rooting on the running back. The matchup is decent. Even though I think Detroit, just in general as a team, we saw it last year and we're seeing it again this year. Like how Derrick Henry smashes in the second half of the season. We're seeing Detroit as a team collectively just better. They're just better as a unit in the second half of the season. It's like Dan Campbell, the first 8 or 9 games, it takes him a little bit to get it going, but the team looks really good. Their defenses look solid too, in my opinion. But I still think Dalvin is too cheap in a spot where you can have some leverage if you're not playing Kirk Cousins. Get him in there. So those are the two guys at the top for me that I'll probably have a little more exposure to. I don't mind the Derrick Henry call. He would be third if I had to rank them. Not playing Travis Etienne over Tony Pollard. No, thank you. Not playing Dameon Pierce. I'll definitely play Swift. Kudos to you. And there were a few other guys who talked about how he was going to get more. I just didn't trust it, so I stayed away. But he's definitely a good play. If he's getting even 50% at that price tag, he's probably a good play. And you could make the case that there's more to come. He could have more work this week. So definitely like him. And Foreman at 5K. Those are the two 5K running backs I like. Love Deontay Foreman. And then we might have some cheap running backs, Kirkwood. So that might be the interesting part of this slate. Like, what happens if Saquon Barkley, who's questionable, what happens if he gets ruled out? What happens if Ken Walker gets ruled out, who hasn't practiced, I'm pretty sure, all week, or at least he didn't practice Wednesday through Friday? What happens in those situations? Because, everyone loves the cheap running back. So if those guys get out, what are we doing with those spots? Because I do like James Cook, and I think he starts to slowly take over that role from Singletary, and we saw it last week. I think that trend continues. But, man, you'll have some really cheap running backs, maybe tougher spots, but cheap guys that you can at least look at. Matt Breida, I think DJ Dallas or Travis Homer, whoever would start there. I know they got Tony Jones Jr. too for Seattle.
Yeah, so they're both questionable.
Right.
Game time decisions, Kenneth Walker and DJ Dallas. So we don't really. I mean, both of them could suit up, both of them might not suit up. Travis
And if
Homer is
they
there.
both don't, then I mean,
they've got Tony Jones, and then I think they called up Wayne Gallman or something, or they signed him or something. Former Giant.
oh, did they call up Wayne Gallman?
Or put him on the. I don't know. I heard some rumblings, but.
So they have Homer though and Tony Jones Jr. And
Yep.
my expectation would be Tony Jones Jr. would be more like the early down running back, and Travis
Yep.
Homer would be the third down and the obvious pass catching situations kind of running back, right? Where you might see more of the rushing attempts go to Tony Jones Jr., but the passing work will definitely go to Homer.
Yeah, and it's potentially more could even go to Homer too, just because maybe the trust level with him.
Definitely. They got to trust him a little bit more.
I'm not playing Lat Murray in a game where should be trailing against Kansas City. Like, no, thank you. I hear you on that. If you're looking at cheap, I mean, what's your thoughts with James Cook?
So I like him. I talked about it a little bit. I think that you can kind of see it where he is slowly but surely starting to move up and take over the Devin Singletary role. I think he's just better too. Like when you just see those, like when it was DeAndre Swift in his rookie season, and in the first 4 or 5 weeks before the bye, you just saw it like in flashes, right? You just saw he was just better. And you're just waiting. Okay, when are they gonna unleash?
It was like Derrick Henry. Remember they used to. He was on the bench. It was who was it? Was
oh god, I can't
former
remember.
Dion Lewis, or is that who it was?
Was it Dion Lewis?
I think so. He was the number one running back.
God, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, but you could just see it. Like you can just see him kind of growing in the role, and he's at least he's got juice too. Like he's got big play type upside, and lucky for us, he was close to breaking 1 or 2 against New England. I'm actually really glad he didn't, break a long touchdown run, because he would for sure be popular if he did. But if his role increases, Kirkwood, how can you not like him?
Yeah, I know.
At 4,600,
it's worried. So I mean, he had that 11 carry game 2 weeks ago against Cleveland, where it was the first real they're using him. And then followed that up in a game in Detroit where he got basically nothing except the passing down work, which was fine. He got 5 targets, didn't do much with them. Then against New England, it was like he was the guy, right? Like he got 14 rushing attempts, he got 6 targets, 6 receptions, and he looked good. So it's
my worry is, Kirkwood, are they just riding the hot hand? Are they looking at the game and saying, okay, first quarter, who's affecting? James Cook is playing better than Singletary. All right, we're gonna ride with him a little bit.
It's risky, no doubt about it. I want to touch on quickly the Mixon point too that I just was thinking about. So this is Mixon's job. He's always been the guy, right? It's not like he was playing bad. He was playing bad early in the season, but basically he's coming off of a 58 fantasy point game where he had 22 and 153 rushing yards and a 5 touchdown game against Carolina. He got hurt the following week against Pitt. Once he was already doing work in the passing game. He had 42 yards receiving in that game when he went down. And then Pirine took over and smashed in that spot. But that could have very easily, it's not like he did anything to lose the job. You know what I mean? So I could see it being completely Mixon's job. And like you said, maybe they give Pirine a rest a little bit, take it easy, big fella. We're going to need you for some playoffs and whatever.
They like him too, Kirkwood. They trust him. They used him on key downs in the Super Bowl. This isn't no backup that they're just oh, it's the backup, whatever. No, they actually like Pirine. They really do like him, and I think they have other young guys too, in the back that they don't mind, like Chris Evans, who caught the touchdown towards the end of that game last week. Williams. So they got other guys too. I could just see it where Pirine's definitely more of a guy they trust and want, just in case too something happens to Mixon. So I don't think they're gonna push it with him.
Speaking of pushing it, Bobby's back on the show here. So any other off the board guys? What about CMC? Any thoughts with him? like I don't think he's going to be a good game for him on the rushing perspective because we said Vita Vea and Akeem Hicks back. But in the he is there. They're building this offense around him. They've got big cock Brock? Is that what we're going by? That's the official nickname here.
Is he deserving of that name?
He looked good. To be honest, he looked good for what it's worth.
But I could see a big target game in McCaffrey's future in this one for sure. Other guys, Miles Sanders, maybe this is it's a good matchup against the Giants. That's always risky, right? Like you're playing a guy like Miles Sanders, you realize there's a game, he could have very low usage. Hurts could take it all, could be a big path. There's just too many offensive weapons on this team, but does have some big games, 32 fantasy points against Jacksonville, 34 against Green Bay, and good matchups. This is another solid matchup. So certainly, and he's going to get kind of lost in the shuffle here. He's, because there is so much risk with him, but for GPPs, you gotta like that a little bit, I think. Do we have any opinion on the Jets situation at all at this point, or who cares? Or
I mean, is Michael Carter back? He's definitely back, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they like Knight. I think they're going to play 3 running backs a little bit. So I think they like Knight. I don't know why they wouldn't just like completely go away from Michael Carter though. So to me, there's definitely 2 there. They still got Ty Johnson who works in there a little bit. I think they and they like Ty Johnson in the pass catching role. They definitely like him. So I can't play these guys. I don't know. Maybe Bobby.
I can't. I'm off the committee.
I got one more situation worth monitoring. Leonard Fournette looks like he is not going to go. Didn't practice on Friday. That's not a good sign. Only questionable, so we'll have to wait and see. But Rashad White will shoot up in that scenario, and we'll do a lot of ownership. So that's something we got to keep ahead on.
Yeah, but to me too, like Rashad White, what he's been doing, I think you see something similar, like between like 12 and 17 fantasy points, because it's a tough matchup. But he's going to get a shitload of passing. Like he's going to get all those check downs. I mean, you see it. It's 9 and 8 targets his last 2 games. The 8 target against New Orleans was with Lenny in there. And Lenny
got 7 targets. Yeah.
Yeah, he was eating in the passing game too. So, that's how he gets there, right, guys? Like he gets there with just massive volume, like dump offs.
I like the White call. Do we talk about Dallas running backs, Pollard and Zeke?
We touched on it a little, but give us your thoughts.
Pollard, yeah.
I think they're in a very good spot versus Houston.
I mean, this to me, Pollard's the guy. Yeah. But this feels like an ego. Like let's give in to Zeke's ego and let him score a couple of times in this.
That
game.
is the fear, right?
Let him do his for his 2-yard touchdown.
I mean, let's be honest. They're both probably going to score a touchdown here.
Yeah, at least.
Pollard scores a long one, and Zeke scores the 2-yarder.
At a minimum.
Yep.
All right, Bobby. Take it away. Where are you going?
Yeah, I think for me it would be Pollard, but I think you make a good point, Kirk, with that Zeke. They're going to try to feed the ego. He's going to get in the box. So I'll have Zeke in my pool this week. I like the White call too. Like White's going to get steamed up though, but for good reason. He's attached to Brady. Brady utilizes the running back out of the backfield a good bit, so White makes a lot of sense. I don't mind having exposure to him. It's pretty much it for me at running back. I talked about the others I liked.
So we're all in agreement. We all like Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
Johnny?
Yeah, I don't mind Derrick Henry.
Just wanted that on record. All right, let's move it over to QB. This is weird week, right? So we're going to talk about the chalk being Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow, Geno Smith. But then like right behind there's Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, like, and Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of funny, like they're not in the front conversation here, but that's because of pricing. We don't have a ton of value on this slate. We've got like some shaky value. Maybe we get some, maybe we get some news on the Seattle situation. Maybe we get some other news and whatnot that drops and some things open up. But right now, they're gonna get lower ownership because of it. So if you really like, they're also in kind of slower paced games. Buffalo playing the Jets. Jets are a good defense, so there's room for concern there. There's also a potential blowout concern there. Then there's Jalen Hurts. The Giants play super slow, right? Like, so that's a concern. Mahomes against Denver. Is Denver going to do much to make Mahomes do much? And Denver's defense has still been pretty good. And then there's, who I like? I mean, it's crazy to me that like we've got low ownership projected for Dak with this massive team total. I get it, right? Like we just said, like they may pump up Zeke in this game. They may,
I mean, the running back's got to be projected pretty good though, right?
For sure. But like, yeah, but like CeeDee Lamb's going to want to get his.
Yeah.
Dak's going to want to get his. Like crazier things have happened. Like if for somehow they put up a fight in this game, I don't expect it, but I don't know. I think Dak's interesting. But, I think it's just interesting. Like some of these big name guys aren't going to be the chalk. It's, and by Sunday, Burrow is going to be the chalk, I think, because, he's being touted by a lot of places and it just feels better, right? You're like, oh, I compare him with Higgins. I compare him with Chase. He has a massive ceiling, but however, it is the best running spot, for Mixon, for Pirine, if they use him at all against Cleveland. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So how are you guys building your pool?
Yeah, I like Burrow. I think, like you said, he's going to get steamed up, but I'm kind of fine with it. I'll play the good plays in the slate because there are many. Gino just, it seems like it's 300 yards and he's getting a receiver there every week. So I don't mind getting to him. Kirk and Goff, them being the chalk, I'd have trepidation, but definitely like the weapons. I like the call on Dak. I think CeeDee Lamb will get in the box this week. So I don't know.
Gallup's been doing some work too.
Yeah, Gallup. Dak's been good. So I don't mind him. But yeah, I don't think we have the value to get to the Hurts, Mahomes, Allen for that. Like Allen, I think people will play Allen. It's just the matchup isn't great, and they're obviously we're lacking value, and it's like it's pretty slow paced, right? I would imagine. So yeah, I don't know. I just Allen would be my favorite out of the expensive QBs, but he would be the only one I'd have like interest in.
Doesn't it feel like they've been trying to sit on leads too?
Yeah,
them, doesn't it feel like they've just been trying to like get up on teams and then just pound it?
So I feel like Philly does the same thing too with Jalen Hurts. Like when they have a lead, it's just they sit on it. So I don't like. Yeah, Allen would be my favorite, but I don't really like any of these spend ups. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of at QB.
Yeah, it looks like too Leonard Williams and Adoree Jackson for the Giants are both out, which that's like a nice little bump for, I would say, Hurts in the passing game. But I don't think the Giants are going to be able to push them as much. So I worry about that game. I would like Hurts more if I was more comfortable that the Giants could give Philly a push. Also, it's Saquon, like questionable. It does make me even more worried. Like if he doesn't play, then I'm, obviously even more worried. So, well, that's a tough spot for me. I kind of agree with Bob too. It's like, do I need to spend up for an 8K quarterback? This probably isn't the slate. Joe Burrow, I talked about how I like the running game, so I don't know how much Burrow I'll have. Now, I do think you can make the case that you could stack Burrow with Mixon and another receiver and hope Mixon catches a passing touchdown or something like that. But it's just something I won't do. I'm not on Dak just because I think once they get up, they're just going to run, and run all over this Houston team and just get out of there. And like the defense is going to be turning over. They're really good. So I think it's a spot where, for fantasy anyways, Dak just doesn't hit my pool, especially if I'm going to play a running back from Dallas. Geno Smith, I think, is the most intriguing out of the 4 quarterbacks that you talked about that were going to get some decent ownership. I think he's actually one of the more intriguing guys because I think he's the lowest of the 4, first of all, for sure. The total's lower in that game. But the key with Geno that I really like is you've got the weapons that are just – they're just the key weapons. He's easy to stack. You just Geno with DK Metcalf and or Lockett. Boom. Those are the 2 guys that are just ultimately the most involved in that offense. Can you play someone else? Can you pull a Noah Fant at 3,100? Sure. If Travis Homer's one of the 2 starting running backs, him and Tony Jones and DJ Dallas and Kenneth Walker are both ruled out, you can even pair Travis Homer with him because he's a pass-catching guy. Caught a touchdown last, I think week 12 it was. So I could see that stack having a good day, and I kind of like the Carolina side. I talked about Deontay Foreman. I think if Seattle gets up 2, they might have to push it a little more. DJ Moore's 5,500. I think he's in a good spot. And the other guy we didn't talk about that I think is interesting that no one will play, but if you're not on Deontay, I think Chuba makes some sense too, especially if you think Seattle gets up and they're in a trailing script where maybe it's more Chuba. I mean, they're kind of almost splitting the snaps anyways. So Chuba's on the field a decent amount. And you can make the case if the game goes the opposite way of the Denver game and they're behind 2 touchdowns or something like that, Chuba might get on the field a little bit more. Now, in goal line situations, he's probably not on the field. It's probably Foreman. But I think he's another guy that's really interesting. So I like this Carolina team a little bit. I think there could be some points in this game. I don't really like either defense as much. So I like this game. I like the spot for Geno for sure. He's going to be one of my quarterbacks. And then I'm not playing Cousins or Goff. So other guys I think that are in play, or that you could kind of go to as pivots. Mike White, just from a volume perspective, I think they'll be down the entire game, and he's 5,500. Not the best matchup, but at the same time, you're seeing Buffalo. There's no Von Miller, which helps Mike White and that the less of the pass rush. And then the other guy I think that's a little bit interesting is Ryan Tannehill and Trevor Lawrence against a Jacksonville, Tennessee game. I could see both sides of this game passing and having success in the passing game big time. And I could see this is the other game that I think is sneaky for DFS when it comes to scoring points. You got Treylon Burks who's out, which kind of stinks because I really wanted to play him. But now it's going to open up for other guys, and they only have 2 other main receivers, that Nick Akina Westbrook and Robert Woods. I think Westbrook's definitely the better option, or Westbrook Akine, not whatever his name is. But I do think you could pair a single stack with Tannehill, and Trevor Lawrence was the chalk last week, and now no one's going to play him. I don't think he was
looked like he was dead. Looked like he was dead.
He was dead. I thought he was.
And he comes back out of the locker room fine.
Yeah, and now he's going to be one of the lowest owned quarterbacks on the entire slate.
Against the pass funnel.
I think this is a really, against the pass funnel. I mean, you're not running on Tennessee, by the way. I think they've given up only one 100-yard game all year or something like that. You're not running on this team. This team is really good up front. So the only success is going to be in the pass. I think this is a slate where taking shots on quarterbacks that normally you don't like, but lower ownership. I even don't think Russ is crazy, as that sounds, on this slate is nuts, because they're going to be losing. You're getting a trailing script, he's down Cortland Sutton, so it's kind of even more of a smaller pool when it comes to wide receiver. I think this is a slate where you should be taking shots on some of these quarterbacks that just won't get ownership, but are going to be trailing or in prime passing situations because they're going up against defenses that are pass funnels.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Man, how bad did Deshaun Watson look?
Oh, that was another thing we got right on this show. I think we were all on the Deshaun Watson, not even a chance you're clicking his name.
Yeah, he just looked a little tense out there, didn't he?
I mean, he looked pretty bad. Well,
not relaxed.
Might need we won't go there. I get what you're saying though, Kirkwood. I get what you're saying.
What about all right? I want some hot. I want one of you guys to tell me you're playing Sam Darnold.
I'm not playing Sam Darnold.
If he has any,
can I not give you enough hot takes when I say I'm thinking about clicking on the likes of Trevor Lawrence, Ryan Tannehill, and Russ Wilson? Is that not hot?
Tannehill's hot.
I mean,
I'm a Trevor Lawrence guy, so that's not too hot for me. But Ryan Tannehill,
he's going to be like 1% owned. Like no one's clicking his name.
I want to hear someone say that. Sam. I want to hear. He had to see Baker. Leave in first week, make that comeback. Right, like this is a guy who's playing for a job. Right.
I do really think that game could be the nuts, though. I'm not gonna lie. I do really think that game could have points.
I mean, he has a wide receiver one that's very, very easy to correlate him with, DJ Moore. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I like the idea of getting off the chalk QBs and playing these, like taking shots on Darnold, Russ. There's nothing exciting about playing Goff or Kirk Cousins. I can tell you that much.
Literally zero. Like even if they put up, like let's say they get 22, like all those guys can get me 22 or 23. Like it's just I don't know.
What are the odds of those beating the rest of the guys every time? Like I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And the ownership is literally going to be like 15-2 on all those guys. Like every single one of them, they're going to be like 2% owned, and you can make the case that a lot of those guys are maybe they're not.
You don't need anything to get overweight on these guys either.
But yeah, what do you need, Bob? What do you get on a 2% owned quarterback? Like you're an MME guy. Like
if I'd probably play like if someone's like showing 2%, I'm probably going to play like 10 to 15 if I like.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So like 5 to like 8x the field almost somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'd rather do that. Like, God, dude, it's just like the slate is abysmal. But yeah, the chalk that we're seeing at quarterback is just atrocious.
All right,
it's because of the game. It's because of the game. And the only total that's decently high, which I mean, there's obviously a reason for it, but that's what it is in Detroit.
Yeah.
All right, wide receiver. Just chalk smash last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be the chalkiest this week. I mean, it's simply just a target thing with him. I mean, he's good, first of all, and he's also in the best game environment, and Minnesota is, extremely, extremely vulnerable defense here. And, they're 24th in DVOA versus the pass. So Amon-Ra coming off of 230 balls, almost 31 in week 12 against Buffalo, and what should have been a tough matchup, then follows it up against Jacksonville with 37 fantasy points, 12 targets, 10 targets the week before that. Just showed you that when he gets some pay dirt, hits some touchdowns, how high his ceiling is. So he has a nice ceiling. He also has in week 2, 42 fantasy point game. I mean, it's like I have him. I have a good Rainmaker card of him. Full disclosure. Back to there. But so I always sweat it out with this guy because he always takes a beating, right? Like he gets nailed and like you think he's going to be hurt and then he comes back and he's all right. So
he is a tough SOB. Did you see that shot he took in the middle of that game where he got hit
in the ribs,
square in the ribs?
I thought he broke a rib. I'm like, oh, he's dead. He broke a rib.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a sweat. Then there's Justin Jefferson on the other side of that game, but it's $9K, tough to pay for. But if you can get up, that people are going to want that. CeeDee Lamb is economical at 7,500, and then Garrett Wilson is still too cheap at 5,900. For
what do they have to do? What does Garrett Wilson have to do at this point for them to raise his price tag into the 6Ks?
I know, and it's annoying. It's annoying too.
I mean, is it just the case we've seen these rookie guys, Amon-Ra last year in the second half of the season? Like, this kid is he's just really good. Like, he's so freaking good. At some point, I don't get it though. Like, how do you not at least look at him at 5,900 on this slate? Like,
you do.
They're going to have the same script as last week. They're going to be losing.
And these people are going to bitch on Twitter, oh, he's a bad play. He's not a bad play. He's a wide receiver one who's incredibly skilled, right? And it's the same thing as Terry McLaurin, in that same price range always. It's I fall for these guys every time. It's if you're going to give me a guy who's 5K and is a wide receiver one with multi-touchdown upside and big playability, then yeah, let's go.
By the way, he had a chance to easily have a 40-point fantasy game. I mean, there were 2 shots where he could have housed for touchdowns, and he just missed, just getting tripped up and stuff like that. This dude is a big play waiting to happen. And the defenses know, that's where Mike White is going with the football most of the time. And he's still catching crazy catches on the sidelines, making dudes miss. I mean, the dude's just good. He's just so good at football.
The Jets in general are just loaded with young talent. It's kind of crazy. Different than what we've seen
it's fine. It's the Jets, Bob. They don't know what to do with it. We'll let the fans down.
I think they're on the right track this time.
I do like Salah a little bit. That defense is good. Yeah. Sauce is good. I can't wait to watch Sauce and Stephon Diggs just fight the whole game.
That would be battle. I could see someone getting thrown out, to be perfectly honest.
They're gonna
second divisional.
DJ Moore is too cheap, 5,500.
I think DJ Moore is a great play in that Seattle game.
Yeah, I agree.
Then if you look over at Pro Football Focus, so I always look at their matchup advantages, who has the best matchup allegedly of the week. Their top matchup advantage is Tyler Lockett this week, which is surprising, but that's and he's healthy and Metcalf is a little bit banged up. And this is a game that I know JSU has already talked about. He really likes this game to potentially shoot out here. Lockett, he's going to be kind of just, he's going to be owned, but not. He's going to be just outside of that range of all these other top guys. So 6,500 gives you some nice savings too. The upside is obviously there with him. Devontae Smith, showed what kind of upside he has, even with AJ Brown having a big revenge spot game too. When Hurts goes off, there's plenty to go around. So there's that. There's T. Higgins. There's Christian Kirk. I don't know. There's a lot of plays here.
Tyler Lockett's the opposite of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Every time Tyler Lockett catches a pass, he is down on the ground. He's not getting any. He's not risking any hit. He's been in the league long enough to realize that he just wants to not get injured.
So he's smart, pretty much.
Yeah, but he's never. He's always hurt. This is the first year he's been fully healthy throughout the whole season, and it's because every time he catches a pass, he's on the ground immediately. There is no attempt for yak. I don't mind. I love that. I love the Lockett call. I think he's a really good play, Metcalf, in that game. That game just a game I want to be on. Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is up to 7,800.
Too cheap still too cheap.
It still might be too cheap. Yeah, like you said, it still might be too cheap. I feel like I'll have a lot. Justin Jefferson, I want pieces of this game. I don't know if I want the QBs, but I want the pieces. CeeDee Lamb's great. It's funny that the Dallas running backs are also in such a good spot. Are we playing Laviska Shenault? He's someone at 3,300 people are going to end up playing. I just don't know if I really want to play him at all.
All right, Bobby, can you not mention, I just want to say something that you did to me last week when you didn't mean to. It wasn't your fault at all by any means, but you planted the Sky Moore seed in the back of my head at 3,100. And so I played a guy last week in my main lineup and part of that I bubbled in as I was saying, that was there just to be a decoy behind the running back. So, and I feel like
I get it. Yeah.
I feel like Laviska is going to be the same.
I would not trust if Laviska is going to be chalky. Oh my God, that seems.
No, he won't be chalky. I'm just
he
kidding.
Won't be?
I'm just
he will
bitter.
Not be chalky.
Oh no, yeah, he won't be chalky. I don't know.
Yeah, no way.
He's going to get up to like 8%, I think. Kendall Hinton 3-4 is going to be.
Yes,
chalky.
I'm in on Kendall Hinton.
I like Kendall Hinton. Like,
I always play this guy.
I love him. I think
Judy's really back though, but still, he's there.
Sutton's not there though.
Yeah, I'm with that. But Russ is just so awful.
He is bad.
He's so bad.
Price tag.
Oh God, he's so bad. I might have to play a Russ team, but he's so bad.
I know. That's what I was. I didn't want to mention it. It was like sticking out to me, but I was just like, I'm not going to mention it. It's like because I've gone down with this ship too much this season.
I think I'm playing one of these Giants receivers, probably Devontae Smith, just because. I don't know. JSU mentioned the quarterback threat.
I do think Philly, one of those wide receivers, could pop off.
Oh, for sure. But on the Giants, you say you like someone on the Giants side?
No, on the Giants. Just Devontae Smith, I think's fine. I don't think I'd play AJ. I'd rather just pay $6,300 for Smith.
All right, yeah. I mean, this is kind of a tough slate. I mean, there's obvious plays, but then it gets really thin.
I mean,
any of these Cleveland receivers.
I mean, you know what's funny? Adam Thielen is going to get a lot of love in this game.
I feel like I'd rather play DPJ at the same price at $4,900.
I feel like I'd rather play Zay Jones, who was chopped last week and busted, and then you just come right back with them and.
You're on this Lawrence stack.
I'm all set with Thielen, though.
Yeah, I can't play Thielen.
How about another guy?
Give me Jerry Judy. Jerry Judy for $500 more. But go ahead. Sorry.
I like the Hinton call for sure on the Broncos side. Just give me guys that I don't have to pay actual money for. Give me like the cheap dudes that that don't need to do as much. But how about who is the guy I was just looking? Oh, everyone's gonna play Amon-Ra, and I get it.
DJ Chark.
He's nasty, but DJ Chark is gonna be like 5% owned. And I'll just say it, the last 2 weeks, he's had multiple chances to house touchdowns that either Jared Goff missed or he just came out. He's a big play dude. He looks very healthy now, and I don't know, 4,300 in the game environment that we're looking at low ownership. These are the plays I want to pull if I'm not playing Kirk and Goff. Those are the plays that I think go overlooked, and you can pull a guy like him at 4,300, and he's been really good so far. So I really like DJ Chark. Think he's in a great spot, and I love the Lockett Metcalf. You can just play either one of those guys, but I don't think I've really been on Lockett all year too, and he's killed me a few times, but I do think this is a perfect spot for him.
You got to play. You got to play a lot. PFF's number one matchup advantage. Got to do it. They also like Devontae Smith too.
Every time I look up at the TV at Red Zone in the late slate hour, it's just Lockett catching bombs or just. And
it feels that way all the time, doesn't it, Bob?
Yeah.
And Chark, 2 yards away from the bonus without a touchdown would have been an absolute smash at his cheap price against the Jags. Little nugget here. He's got a 50% end zone target share. So of the end zone targets for this team, 50% of them have gone to Chark since he's been back here since week 12. So
TJ helps that. No TJ Hawkinson. That helped, I think, because all their guys are little outside of Chark and Reynolds.
Back to short shaming. Back to short.
No, it's just the truth, though. You're not throwing it up to, friggin' Khalif Raymond and
I thought we got over that. I thought we moved past this. You just got it.
I'm allowed to. I'm short. All right, so I can shame when I want. I'm short. I get shamed all the time. I should be allowed to do it when I have to.
All right. Yeah, so
there's another cheaper wide receiver at 35. If everyone's going to play Thielen, KJ Osborne played 66% of the snaps. Like, I don't mind in a dome taking in larger field stuff.
He just never gets much action, but but I get it. For that game, he's a piece that no one's going to hit on, and obviously he could certainly.
Yeah,
I think it's more like an
large
MME
field.
Play,
large field MME play.
Yeah. All right.
So if Amari Cooper's out, does that mean like David Bell gets steamed up, or is it more DPJ? You guys think?
It's probably going to be DPJ. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, DPJ, just because people have been playing him all season, so he's like the comfortable. Oh, he'll be the wide receiver.
I will just say David Bell is 3,100. If Cooper's out, he looks good too. Like when I watch him play, he didn't do much against Houston, but we could chalk that up honestly to Watson. Look at before that 5, 5, and 6 targets his last 3 games before the Houston one, and he looks good when he's out there. So if there's no Cooper, they need someone else. He probably gets the biggest bump roll wise, snap wise, probably.
All right, I got a play I like here. He's going to be low owned. He's off of the injury report, which is big. He's in a key game, 49ers Bucks. He's only 6,100. He's Deebo Samuel. Makes sense to give it to short, big cock Brock. If he's not using McCaffrey, why not hit some short passes and let Mr. Yards after the catch try to break some?
I don't know why they don't do that all the time anyways.
Yeah, but it's like when these guys come off the injury report and people have all been considering them banged up for weeks, they just get forgotten about. And this is a guy who can break one to the house easily.
I can play some Debo.
I got one. What are you guys doing with What are you guys doing with Gabe Davis?
So I like McKenzie at 4,200. I don't mind Davis at all. But McKenzie at 42, I think is.
I just think playing someone not named Diggs as a receiver for Buffalo is probably in a good spot here. So it would either be McKenzie or I don't mind the McKenzie call. Actually, you say 4,200.
Yeah, McKenzie's 42. What's Davis's price?
He's like 5'3".
I can play that too.
I don't think anyone is going to play him.
Yeah.
No, they're not, because you can just play 5,500 DJ Moore, 5,900 Garrett Wilson. So that's who all the ownership's going to go.
Yeah, Gabe's getting nothing. Yeah, I think both those guys are good plays.
But if one of them fails and Gabe, what was remember that week 1? It was week 5 where week 1. Didn't he have a big bomb touchdown right off the bat?
I think so. Yeah.
The best ball guys just cursed Gabe Davis.
Yeah, everyone was victory lapping, week 1.
I mean, let's be honest.
You got the first touchdown of the year.
Is the bomb touchdown, right? That's how he gets there.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he scored the first TD of the year in the NFL.
It would just make sense. They won't go away from Stephon Diggs with Sauce, but it's got to be a little softer coverage and stuff like that on the other side away from Sauce. Sauce is just really good. And Diggs, it don't matter. He'll still throw to Diggs.
It just makes sense. Why would you force? You have other receivers that are competent. Why would you force you could obviously he's going to go to Diggs, but
yeah,
it's just it's easy to just go the other way.
It was surprising though. Even they still went to Jefferson. I mean, he only had.
Yeah, you don't have to. I'm not.
He had 11 targets.
Shy away for the entire game, but it's just if you're getting softer coverage on the other side, throw to the other side.
All right, let's move it on over to tight end, which it's kind of an interesting tight end slate. I mean, because everything feels thin, right? Kelsey is hard to get to because he's 7,600. May not be the best matchup. Just really tough to get to him on this slate because there wasn't a lot of value as of this morning, which is Saturday, end of the weekend. We got we're going to have some open up to feel comfortable about it. But so people want to pay for Dolcic because he's only 3,400, so he's going to be the chalk. He'll be the cash game play of the week, and then he'll get tournament ownership because of that. TJ Hawkinson's going to be a little bit over-owned than probably what he should be because of the game environment, Minnesota, Detroit. Kelsey's tough to get to. Freiermuth is interesting, 4,500. I think Dalton Schultz is interesting at 4,400. Austin Hooper's in the mix. Njoku, Mark Andrews. And then, like, I keep seeing, like, a bunch of this that Okonkwo.
Yeah, I love Chig.
I mean, he looks like now he's a beast. He's a freaking beast.
So I talked him up on my other shows this week. I think without Treylon, he just needs to be out there more because they don't have really much of a threat at receiver. They've only really got like 2 receivers. Chig is like a tight end receiver though too. Like he's a big dude, but he can move. He can like I could see him having the big wide receiver game at tight end at 2,700. And I think Treylon being out just kind of puts his role, like it makes his role a little more solidified, especially if they get down. Like if they get down somehow, they're going to need him out there even more. So I definitely like Chig at 2,700. I'll have some of
you like him, but you like him more than Hooper at 2,900.
Yes, I do.
That's when he's really. All year it's been when Treylon's been out that he's kind of shown up. So I don't hate that call at all, 2,700.
Yeah, Hooper can't move. Like, if Hooper, if he catches a touchdown, fine, whatever. But Chig has actual like big play upside. Like he could take a ball up the seam 40 yards for a touchdown. Like Hooper can't do that. Like literally 3 dudes would have to like fall down. Of their own accord as he's running. Like that dude can barely move. Now I just solidified an Austin Hooper touchdown. I can't wait. But Evan Ingram at 3,300.
I like Hooper personally. But
you do?
Yeah, I just feel like and it's just like a gut feeling. I just feel like he's gonna like pick up a bunch of targets.
Ugh.
Right. I'll tell you one thing though. I look and I played him last week and I lost I didn't quite get there on my main team. He was in my main team, George Kittle. I was like 5K George Kittle. I was like, sign me up on this week where like tight end sucks. And
San Francisco is too hard to nail.
I know now it's 4,300 George Kittle. I'm looking at him again. Like, can I really do this again? They're trying to get me. They're trying to
now.
Yeah, they're trying to get me.
Yeah, you might be pot committed.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot more to love. Mark Andrews gets a lot of love from Huntley, right?
Yeah.
In the past.
Yep. And that's always how they're scheming to get that tight end open anyways. That's their offense, so.
All right, I don't know. I mean, it's a wasteland, it feels like. You guys have any strong Johnny, Bob, you got a strong take?
Not really. I like the Chig call. Dulcich, obviously chalky. Don't mind him. I think he's a really good play. Hawkinson, I would much prefer to play Hawkinson than Thielen. I can tell you that much. In that Minnesota offense.
I agree.
That's true. I'm with you. I say he's going to be overowned for what he should be because of the game environment. But again, I would take him over Thielen all day, every day.
Yeah, I can't. I feel like Thielen probably.
Thielen has taken a beating. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's just, It's just the wheels got to fall off.
No, I'm with you. We say that, and this will be the week he catches the 2 touchdowns that I feel like he does every year. But yeah, I don't know. I can't play Thielen, and I just feel like Hawkinson's the easier play in that offense. Andrews, I will attach to Huntley regardless what the total is. I will try to get to Andrews at 6,500. He's gonna get peppered. Outside of that, I think we kind of hit on everyone else. Schultz, I think, is with all these Dallas guys that are kind of popping. Schultz seems like the one who's popping the least, so he makes sense in Dak stacks. Yeah, I don't know. This slate is just abysmal, like we said at the top. I at the tight end position, it's very. I don't know. I don't really have much.
Well, you know what you do have.
I have defenses.
You have defensive takes. So let's move it over to the Bobby Gomes defensive segment here.
Yeah,
coming off of a monster week where he nailed the Cleveland Browns. So the mojo is good. You're running hot. Like give it to us. Where everybody's waiting for this.
It was nice last week. Browns, Texans. We were, in fairness, we were all on both sides. It wasn't just me. I just went first. We were all on those guys, and it worked out. I think the Cleveland Browns put up like 30 points, which is insane for a defense. Yeah, I this week the Jets at 2,500. I don't think people are going to play them a ton. I don't hate going there. I think you can also make a case to play the Bengals at 3,500 versus Deshaun again. Just going back and trying to pick on this Browns team if Cooper's out. I think those two defenses are going to be the ones I'm going to be most interested in.
So what? Let me ask you about Cowboys at 3,800 against Houston.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I feel like it's going to be more. People are actually going to get to that.
Yeah.
Just because of the running backs, yeah.
It's Houston. They're gonna definitely get to it. I mean, that's who Cleveland just fucking put the 30 ball on them.
Yeah. Is there any?
Cowboys are like a ridiculous defense too.
The Bills are up at 4K. Do we like the Bills? Stay in that game. I don't know. I kind of like the Jets offense for what it's worth.
I'll tell you what. It feels like.
I want to play my defenses in a chalk, though.
I feel like 49ers.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Get in there. Get in there against Tom. Let Bobby know.
Well, like it's like you don't have to worry about them scoring a lot of points.
You're a closet Tom Brady fan. Closet Tom Brady fan.
It's not about being
just because Big T doesn't like Tom Brady. You jump on the bandwagon with Big T.
So you keep hitting on Big T. So I'll just address this. First of all, shout out to my man. He's got 3 tickets in the live final for FanDuel this week, so I hope he takes it down. That's first off. Second off, Big T used to be a Tom Brady hater. Tom Brady brought him back around when he started realizing the greatness of Tom Brady a few years back. So he brought him back around.
He has not liked Brady for a long time.
No. But you're getting mistaken with being a fan of someone's career and being a fan of someone. Tom, you cannot sell me on Tom Brady being a good fantasy quarterback this year. Come on, look at the line. Look at what he's done. It's check down Charlie like to 1,000. Times
I'm with
1,000.
I'm with you. I'm not in disagreement.
I mean, the Saints made him look so bad for 3.5 quarters.
He looked awful. He looked awful.
I don't know what gets to him at the end of the games. Like
he turns it on. He turns it on.
I just like it. Just he might need to swear so many times before he gets like the fire he needs to just finish a team. I don't know what it is though.
To be honest, I just think they suck. Like I think the pieces don't fit. It's just I don't know.
He needs to like slam like a certain amount of helmets down like on the sidelines enough times, like get him just jacked up to the point where he's just like, all right, screw this. I'm going out. And I'm gonna
know what it is. He doesn't have the Edelman guy. Like Scotty Miller showed it on when he got open on that like little slant route.
Chris Godwin. What is he?
Well, he doesn't. No, he doesn't have Gronk.
Well, Gronk too. Yeah, Gronk too. 100% Gronk too. Yeah.
The guy though that's missing is Ryan Jensen.
Man, remember how electric? Do you guys remember how electric they were when it was Gronk and Aaron Hernandez?
Oh, it was unbelievable.
God.
They were so electric.
I have a crazy story about Aaron Hernandez.
There was so many people too. Like back then, a lot of people thought Aaron Hernandez was better than Gronk.
Yeah, he was coming. He was coming. Yeah, he was coming.
I thought he was better than him personally.
That was better. I didn't because I thought Gronk was more the all-around guy.
Yeah, Gronk was definitely the more all-around guy.
But a lot of people thought Hernandez was more talented for sure.
This is what we're gonna do. Yeah, go tell your story.
So the night that all happened, like the club shooting, I was at a Rotary down the way from just where that club is.
Yeah.
I was just sitting there driving. I was driving home.
It was Rumor, wasn't it? Rumor back
No,
then?
it was I forget the name of this.
I forget
club.
I used to go to it.
It was near. It was near Rumor, but there was another club adjacent to Rumor where the incident happened. Like they had, I don't know. There was it was a couple in the downtown area, a couple two clubs, like this whole area. Like you probably go back and forth to different clubs. So I was just I was driving home, and I hit a stop sign, and I was just sitting at the stop sign. And this truck comes flying by me, almost clips me, and there's they didn't even have to come near my car. And I think that was his car driving away from the scene. As crazy as it sounds, that was probably his car because that's how you leave the back way from that club.
That would have been nice if he hit you.
I was leaving work.
If they would
have, imagine if he clipped me, he probably would have.
You'd be you'd be officially in the story. You know what I mean? They would have investigated that a little bit,
I was how did this? It was a huge and the car ended up being a big thing in that case. He literally almost hit me, and there was no reason for him to do it. And he was obviously the person was running from something. Obviously, it was just I don't know. And then I heard about the issue at the shooting, so I figured they were coming from but I didn't know it was Aaron Hernandez, right?
All right, so we'll have to add Bobby conspiracy takes to the next segment for the next show, Kirkwood, not just defensive takes.
It's a good point. See what? Let us know in chat if you guys like this. If you want to hear more Bobby Gomes stories,
let
us know if you think it was the truck or not.
I've got some stories. So
I think it was, dude. I think it was him. There was no. It's the way you get out of the city from that club is the back roads is going to where I was
in the South End or
it was in Southie at the Rotary, Columbia Park. It was I was driving home it might have been 2:30. I was after work. I was leaving work.
What were you doing? Bar back in or something?
I was I was doing. Yeah, I was a bitch boy at work. So
were you going shake?
Yeah. Shake. What's that movie with Tom Cruise where he's? Yeah,
whatever. All right, let's close out. Favorite stacks, give them to me, boys. Who wants to go first?
JSU, you go first.
He always wants me to go first. Carolina, Seattle, Geno Smith.
That's why I wanted it.
Or Metcalf, and then bring it back with DJ Moore and or one of those two running backs from Carolina that I talked up. I think it's a really good stack. You can overstack it too. It's a perfect spot. Play Geno. Yeah. Travis Homer's in play in that stack. Even Noah Fant and guys like that. You can get different with some of those type of guys, but yeah, I really like that game.
Yeah, I like that game too. I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence in the Tennessee game. Henry, Chega, however you say his name. I don't mind those guys as run backs, but Lawrence, Kirk, Zay Jones, I think that stack's pretty interesting for the slate.
All right, a little bit off the board. I'm going to say Dak. I'm going to say they're going to put up 40 points before they get their foot off the pedal. They're going to smash Houston, smash. And I'm going to say Dak's going to have some big plays to CD and Michael Gallup in this one. I also like Pollard as well. But, it's just massive team total. Ownership not there. I know it. It could just be the Zeke, feed his ego spot. Could be backups in early in this one. But I'm going to play him to put some points on the board here. And I'm not bringing it back with anybody from Houston.
So you're playing the defense on top of it.
I like with no bring back. I like
with no bring back. Just hammer it in. Bobby,
that's
say
gangster.
Say Okongwu.
Okongwu.
There you go. We won't try the first name. We'll stick with Chig.
Chig, yeah, it's easy.
And it's fun to say. It's a great name.
Yeah. It is a very good name.
All right, we're done. UFC. I got to give the people love my UFC picks. I get like DMs all the time. And I did drive to New Hampshire last night and pound some. Now I am going to put this as a full disclosure. This slate is pretty tough. I think it's a pretty good card. That's underrated card. But it's pretty tough. Like there's some tough fights to kind of analyze here. I took 2 dog positions pretty big. I'm hoping at least one of them. I'm hoping they both hit, but my idea is that like one of them is going to hit. I think at least. I'm playing Chris Curtis plus 145. I took a big position on him. I also took a big play on Dawkins against Rosenstrike. Who everyone's going to be on the other side of that in the heavyweight matchup. Those are my 2 big plays. Then I also have TJ Brown. Who's a pick'em, is another band. And then I played Billy Q a little bit, but I'm scared about that one against Hernandez. But those are my plays.
Have you MME'd UFC since the rule change?
I did, and I had the worst experience. So the first thing I did, listen to this. So I said I was going to sit it out because of all this bitched on Twitter. But the problem was everyone played. So I didn't max the first week, but then I maxed last week card. And the first thing I did is I had and I heard from it. So I was in chat too. I was like, I just screwed up. It locked on me. So I went to make a late swap adjustment because I had the nuts. I had like the first 3 nut fighters that looked awesome, but I had them with some plays I didn't like. So I went to change it. And the play I liked was the other side of a fight that was in there that I didn't realize quickly. So I made the swap and I had a stack in the fight in there in the swap now. So then I went to change it out. Like literally, this is all within 1 minute time, like me playing with it on my phone. And I went to take it out and it locked on me. So then obviously I have the top 3 fighters. And then this next fight I have a stack on both sides. So obviously I shoot up to the front in the leaderboard and Big T is the first. He said, these guys got you stacking prelim fights now, don't they? And I was like, no, I didn't, I just looked like that guy who stacked a prelim fight when it was all because of late swap. And I was so pissed and I ruined that lineup. I
think late swap in general just needs to go just for everything.
It's funny though, that all the people who bitch about late swap, they all still play it. It's the best too. Like all those guys who bitch, they're the ones. It's more time consuming, obviously, but they're the ones who have the advantage too. It's the best part about late swap.
I like it for NBA. I like it for NBA, but I also have obligations at this point. Like my kids.
It's on Saturday night. It's that's the one time where you're okay, I put them in. Now I can just enjoy these fights. It was the one thing you have. It's not like NBA where I'm sitting up there, and worrying about everything as each game and whatnot. But yeah,
I think it should be. I think it should be as simple as a fighter. Let's say a fight gets canceled. If there's a guy,
then that should open up late swap. At that point in time, you should be allowed to swap out that.
And I don't understand if there's no one under that guy and you can't get to anyone. Well, then you're stuck. You're dead.
Yeah.
But if you can swap to a guy that's not dead, then let you swap. But just
it's also they
how
screwed
is this
up
so hard?
They screwed it up royally. We had the fight canceled the first week, and then they screwed up that and they nailed Big T by unlocking, locking, and then unlocking. He
still won't give that up. He won't ever give that up too. He's gonna be mad about that.
I'd be absolutely pissed about that situation though. That's literally on them.
It makes no sense though. They opened up the fight.
Yeah, no, it's their fault 100%. And then they ruined it. He didn't know. He was just making a swap. And
did they give him? Did they give him anything?
Not only that,
he gave him some Wildcat tickets.
Not only that, he bet 20. He bet 20K as a hedge.
Like 80K.
Wait, listen. He bet 20K as a hedge because he had the nuts going into that fight. So and he won that, so he's lucky.
Yeah.
But if he lost that, and then his lineup that he thought won, they canceled, he would have been stuck 20K off of
It's a good lesson. It's a good lesson to learn, though, people, about hedging. It's a good lesson to learn, though.
He's
Yeah,
a
we could
good, he's
get
a
into
good
that even
gambler.
more.
I learned this at the
Yeah.
casino. He's a very he knows all the ins and outs. I'll tell you.
Well, he worked,
Yeah,
that was
poker
his
room
job
manager.
before. He
Yeah.
worked at a poker room. So, yeah.
All right, that's it. This is a wrap. I got crap to do, but let's smash this slate tomorrow. Let's smash these UFC plays tonight. Let's make some cash, and then come back for week 15. Sound good?
Sounds
Yep,
good.
and I'm gonna learn Chig's first name. I'm gonna learn how to pronounce it by that time next week when he ships for us.
Attaboy. And they keep calling his name for receptions, right? All right, so this is the RotoGrinders Run Pure collaboration tournament takes show week 14 edition, and we will catch you next week for week 15. Thanks.